Hitler didn't wake up one day and decide to start a world war. What actually happened was a chain of decisions stretching back 2 decades, each one making the next almost inevitable. And understanding that chain is the difference between a madman attacked Poland and what actually occurred. It starts in 1919 with a peace treaty designed to prevent exactly this. World War I had just killed roughly 20 million people, and the victorious powers, Britain, France, and their allies, were determined to make sure Germany could never start a war like it again. The Treaty of Versailles did that by punishment. Germany lost about 13% of its territory, its military was capped at a fraction of its former size, and it was forced to accept full blame for the war under what's known as the War Guilt Clause, a clause that came with massive reparations payments Germany would still be paying off decades later. The treaty was supposed to guarantee peace through weakness. Instead, it planted a specific kind of resentment, the belief, widely shared across German society, that the country hadn't really lost the war on the battlefield, but had been betrayed and humiliated at the negotiating table. That belief had a name, the stab-in-the-back myth, and it became fertile ground for anyone who could promise to reverse it. Hitler built his entire rise to power on that resentment. Starting in the 1920s, his message was consistent. Versailles was a national humiliation. Germany deserved to reclaim its lost territory and its lost pride, and he was the man who could deliver it. By 1933, with Germany's economy devastated by the Great Depression and its political system in chaos, that message won him the chancellorship. Once in power, Hitler didn't invade anyone right away. He tested the world first, in stages, and each stage taught him something important. In 1935, he began openly rebuilding the German military, a direct violation of Versailles. No one stopped him. In 1936, he sent troops into the Rhineland, a demilitarized buffer zone along the French border, another direct violation. France had the power to push back immediately. It didn't. In 1938, he annexed Austria entirely, folding it into Germany. Still no serious response. Later that year, he demanded the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia, and at the Munich conference, Britain and France agreed to let him have it, in exchange for his promise that it would be his last territorial demand. This was the policy of appeasement. Give Hitler what he wants, one piece at a time, in the hope that each concession will finally satisfy him. Britain's Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain came home from Munich holding a piece of paper with Hitler's signature on it, telling the British public he had secured peace for our time. 6 months later, in March 1939, Hitler broke that promise completely. He took the rest of Czechoslovakia, a country with no German-speaking population to justify the claim, no pretense of ethnic reunification, nothing but naked territorial conquest. And that was the moment everything changed. Appeasement had been built on a theory that Hitler had limited specific grievances, and once those were addressed, he'd stop. Czechoslovakia proved that theory wrong. He wasn't correcting a historical wrong. He was expanding, and he wasn't going to stop on his own. So Britain and France did something they hadn't done before. In March 1939, they gave Poland a guarantee, not a negotiation, not a warning, but a promise. If Germany invades, we go to war in your defense. Hitler didn't stop. If anything, the guarantee accelerated his plans, because it meant the next move would have to happen on his terms before Britain and France could fully prepare. Poland sat on land Hitler wanted, specifically the city of Danzig and the surrounding corridor that separated Germany from East Prussia. And beyond the territorial claim, Hitler's ideology viewed Polish people, along with Jewish and other populations in the region, as racially inferior, people to be displaced, enslaved as labor, or eliminated to make room for German settlement. This wasn't just about borders. It was the first practical step in a much larger plan for the region. But Hitler still needed a pretext, some way to frame the invasion as a response rather than what it actually was. So on the night of August 31st, 1939, SS operatives staged a fake attack. They dressed a small group in Polish military uniforms, staged an assault on a German radio station near the border at Gliwice, left behind a prisoner in a Polish uniform who'd been killed for the purpose, and broadcast a brief anti-German message in Polish before withdrawing. Germany immediately blamed Poland for the attack. Hitler used that fabricated incident and several similar staged provocations along the border to justify what he publicly called a retaliatory campaign. At dawn on September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded. Roughly 1.5 million soldiers crossed the Polish border, supported by more than 2,000 tanks and nearly 1,000 aircraft, a new style of warfare, fast and overwhelming, that would later be called blitzkrieg. Poland's military, though it fought hard, was outmatched from the first hour. Britain issued an ultimatum: withdraw from Poland immediately or face war. Hitler ignored it. 2 days later, on September 3rd, Britain and France both declared war on Germany. 2 weeks after that, the Soviet Union invaded Poland from the east, under a secret agreement it had made with Germany just days before the invasion began. And Poland, caught between two totalitarian powers, was defeated by early October and divided between them. So why did Hitler start World War II? Not for one reason, for a chain of them, each one enabling the next, a peace treaty that bred resentment instead of stability, an ideology built entirely on reversing that humiliation by force if necessary, a pattern of successful bluffs, remilitarization, the Rhineland, Austria, the Sudetenland, that taught Hitler the world would back down every single time rather than risk another war. And finally, the moment the world drew a real line at Poland, Hitler had already decided that no promise, no guarantee, and no ultimatum was going to stop him. So he manufactured a justification and crossed it anyway. The war didn't start on September 1st, 1939. That was simply the day the chain of decisions finally ran out of room to bend.